Welcome, everyone, back to the Street Scene Power Hour. I am Greg Roten, the producer for Power Hour. We have our host, Rick Herrera, with his Christmas tree in the background. Larry Ward, with his closet door in the background. And
it's closed.
we are welcoming special guest Chris Haus, right up from Canfield, and Bill Weder. We have
man with many hats.
Yes,
in the
Bill Weder, the man with many hats. We have a packed show for you. We want to get started. I know Chris has to get out of here about 6:30, but what we're going to do today, Bill has some incredible stories. We're going to hold off, and Bill, please join us, in asking questions for Chris. We're going to get to you in a few minutes here, but please feel free to join us in the conversation. Chris Haus has joined us from Haus Automotive up in Canfield. Chris has some of the finest pre-owned vehicles ever in the area for Canfield and the surrounding areas. And what we did, we wanted to invite Chris over to talk about what is going on. We've got the new car business that is really hindering because why? And then you have the used car market, the pre-owned market, which I'm sure, Chris, you deal with a lot of that, and it is flying from what I see. Give us some insight. Tell us a little bit about your business and at Haus Automotive, and give us some insight on what's going on with the auto market these days.
It's honestly, it's fun again, to be honest with you, but it's definitely different. It's real. I mean, it's every day you don't know what to expect. And honestly, when we're buying cars and appraising cars and stuff like that, you don't know from day to day what the market's going to bring. So it's kind of fun. But at the end of the day, it's became fun again. And, we're getting a lot of used cars. A lot of people are selling their cars. A lot of people are selling their cars because they got a lot of equity in their cars and they don't want to hang on to them because they don't quite know how long they're going to have that equity. We get new cars back. Are the prices going to come down? There's just day-to-day questions that you really don't know. You don't know what to expect.
Okay. Yeah. Cause, we've noticed in the new car market, you're involved in all that stuff.
Yeah.
What is going on? There's the chips, the parts.
You got the chip shortage. You got parts shortage. You've got, and I think this all stems back from the beginning of the pandemic. And I don't think we ever got caught back up. And now you're having the chip shortage and the part shortages and this is my feeling it too. I think, also these manufacturers are testing the waters. Do they really need to stock as many cars as they did before? But that's my opinion. And there's people that'll disagree with me and argue with me, but.
Yeah. So, you also.
Hold on one second. My son wants to say hi real quick.
Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy.
If you recognize, this is Chris Haus's son.
Gavin.
If you're watching the broadcast, he is like a star on the billboards. He's a star on the TV shows, on the commercials. I see you everywhere. So, congratulations on your stardom, because that's what we want to see is young people like you getting involved with what your father's doing. So That's what we want to see.
How many girlfriends you got?
I'm only in second grade.
That's okay.
You got your picture everywhere. The girls will be chasing after you.
I have a new commercial coming out. I don't know when.
Next week.
There you go.
Christmas.
Okay.
Christmas. Great.
Yep. Oh, I remember doing commercials for Haus Automotive Group when I was at WKBN TV.
Yeah.
I shot a lot of commercials for them.
Wow.
Haus. So congratulations. But we got another. If we got a question for Chris here is.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Go ahead, Rick.
Hey, Chris, what's going to happen when all these chips come into this country and we start putting them into the 21 cars, and then all of a sudden the 22s are out? what's going to happen with the market? Are these 21 cars going to be worth a lot less?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know if they're not going to space them out so they don't have to give them away. I mean, you know, that one there's above my pay grade because I don't really know what they're thinking. You know, at the end of the day, are they going to make some 22s? You really can't do that because the cars are already VIN number. There's already
right.
Yeah,
and registrations and all that stuff. And if they do that, then what really happens to the used car market? You know, now does it drop significantly? There's definitely. The prices definitely on used cars are going to come down eventually when new cars are more available. But right now, what you have is the prices are really crazy because there's no new cars, obviously.
Yeah.
You also have, and this is as of the latter part of recent, these rental car agencies are buying used cars. You know, they used to buy new cars when they were available, and it was, you know, they got a good deal, so they'd buy them in bulk. But now I think they're putting they put a process together now where they're actually at auctions now and they're buying from dealers, and they don't really care what the retail number is on that car, so they're paying over retail for inventory, and that's kind of throwing everything off right now too. So you know, and when do they stop, or do they ever stop, or do they get into the used car business now to where they're buying used cars instead of new because the spread's going to be better, and they have the process that they've gotten the chance to do a run through, you know, during all this. But I've seen they're paying $2,000 to $3,000 more for cars than I can get selling them retail.
I understand a lot of these rental car companies sold off their fleet during the pandemic because they weren't being used. And all of a sudden they don't have enough cars now.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. Just like, and I think that's similar to the chip shortage issue. They used a lot of those chips for other electronics and didn't need them for the cars. And then all of a sudden now you need them for the cars and they don't have any. So that was kind of.
So if the question is, you know, what have you seen? You know, you've been in the business a long time. Your father was in the business for a long time. You know, the last couple of years since, what has the trends been like? I mean, you know, was it pretty steady before you could kind of anticipate what you're going to get in, and then all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and then what have you seen the trends follow?
You know, I don't, for used cars, it's kind of been more steady, actually. I feel like it's been busier because we're buying a lot of cars, and we're buying 80% of our inventory now off the general public. It'd be nothing for me to buy 10 cars in one day from people driving in to the lot, and it happens constantly. I mean, that's where we're getting a lot of our inventory. It's just people are unloading their cars, and we're really busy with even more so buying now than even selling before. We're doing a little bit of both, but I would say the traffic's been busier. Prior to pandemic, you have some months that were good, some months that were bad, and they're all kind of steady. I think it's been an interesting couple of years, to say the least.
How about the sticker price there, Chris? Are you getting sticker price for them or above sticker right now? I heard some people are getting as much as 20% above sticker on some of these cars.
It depends it really depends what it is. Some stuff is going for sticker. Some stuff's doing just shy of sticker. It's really depends on the car. You know, your diesel trucks for a while there, you know, in the middle of summer, trucks were on fire. They came down a little bit, then they went back up, and they came. It's really a month by month thing, you know. And right now, your Chevy Equinoxes and your Traverse, all your small mid-size SUVs are doing a premium right now, and mostly because of the rental agencies are paying. You know, they're paying big money. Cargo vans are through the roof.
Of all things, didn't even think about that.
Well, your typical, like your typical U-Haul cargo van, the U-Haul, the Chevy 2500, I was selling those all day long for $25,000. Now I have to pay almost $40,000 for them.
Wow.
That's more than a 20.
But I think that's a multitude of things. So they're not making that van anymore. A lot of people love that van.
Yeah.
So it kind of, there was always going to be a price increase on that van. I just think the chip thing made it happen faster. Okay. Because like I said, that van's been around forever, and people really love that body style and that rear wheel drive van, which you got a lot of front wheel drive guys now, but they just skyrocketed.
Wow. Now, you deal a lot with you deal with in classic cars too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen a lot, and how has that trend gone for you? Have people kind of died off in the demand for classic cars lately, or has that pretty much blown through the roof also?
But you know what, I don't know if there's any truth to this, but when did they start? I mean, I'm only 42 years old. When did they start offering pensions? Was that in the 70s, late 70s?
Mm-hmm. Early, a long time ago. Yeah.
So those guys are retiring now, right? And they have money. So people are buying their dream car. And then just like the pandemic, boats, golf carts, motorcycles through the roof, obviously we all know that. People are staying more local, maybe not going on as many vacations and enjoying what they have in their neighborhood. So if they want to convertible and they want to drop the top, they're buying that convertible that maybe they wanted. So I'm seeing an increase in that. The only thing I'm seeing right now is the shift in car, your 80s and your 70 cars, are going up, obviously, because the people that want that car are getting older, so. Mm-hmm. So it did not slow down at all. If anything, I think it's gotten busier in that region. Yeah. But I also get a lot of people selling them as well, because right now they're worth more, just like, a passenger car.
Well, if I could jump in real quick, if you take a look, Chris, at guys that are 65 to 70 right now, the cars that they drove when they were kids were anything from a 55 Chevy to a 69 GTO, to the Barracudas. And if you watch the Mecum auctions, they're all pretty heady on the price, man. I mean, I've seen GTO 69 Judges, they're going for like 60 grand. I mean, that's big money,
I've got, talk about what people drove in high school. I mean, I've got an 89 Mustang GT fastback with 16,000 miles on it. You believe that's a $30,000 car now?
It's a $30,000 car. Wow.
We used to.
Yeah, keep in mind, I want to buy a Roadrunner next year. Keep that in mind there.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah.
That's going to break the bank.
Bill, 69 Roadrunner, please tell me. 68 Roadrunner.
68, 69, 70.
That'll break the bank.
A green one.
Oh, you know what? It's sad because my neighbor, and of all things, Chris, his dealership has dealt with my neighbor. I won't mention her name or his name, but he's got their white 56 T-Bird.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That was my neighbor's. He bought it from Haus. And unfortunately, he passed on a few years ago, and his wife's trying to sell it through you.
Yeah, we're selling it.
Yeah. And, but yeah, Chris deals with a lot, and there's a perfect opportunity. Maybe Bill and Chris can get together later on, and Chris can find you a Roadrunner.
Yeah,
sure. Absolutely. We get you'd be amazed the phone calls we get and the stuff that we go look at. It's been crazy. It's kind of fun. You get the phone call, you don't know what you're going to look at next, right?
Yeah.
You know what it makes me think of? It's like you're the Pawn Stars. Those guys are always out there, and then, I got a car, I got to go see it. It's
I just got to find a way to get my own TV show.
Well,
the good news is, Bill Weder, if you find him a car, buy the car. No doubt about it.
No. Yes.
Definitely find him one.
Yeah.
Trying to hook you up with my 64 Thunderbird, Chris. I'm trying to get rid of that thing convertible.
It's a beautiful car. Give you that.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
We can definitely help you with that. That's not a problem. That's kind of our specialty. I'll tell you what, and we've been shipping them all over the country.
That's my next question. What about internet sales, web sales?
Honestly, everybody always says this. You got to understand, there's people don't really come on the lot anymore unless they have an appointment. I mean, if you're sitting next door at Wendy's having a sandwich, That's right next door to us. You're hopping on your phone and you're looking at our website. You're not, so the majority of our leads are internet leads, but when we do a lot of out of state, we just shipped a 32 Ford to Burbank, California last week, and a 28 Ford truck to Florida. So, I mean, we ship them everywhere,
That's cool. Have you shipped overseas before? You have to.
Yeah, we actually, believe it or not,
why did I get that chuckle out of you?
I had an 88. We just shipped an 88 conversion van, Chevy conversion van. It was very low mileage. Wow. It went to France of all places. Yeah. So you think there'd be a lot of vans from here to there, but I guess somebody really wanted it.
What do you do? Put it in the container. You put it in the container.
A lot of times we won't handle. I don't like to really. If I have to, I will. But I usually just get it to port and they let them handle it from there. There's too much liability when you start messing around with the overseas. You ship it to the port and let them handle it from there. Okay. Yeah, it's a lot of red tape and it's just easier not to get involved.
Is it easier to sell online than in person?
Yeah, no, I'm a very, I'm, kind of a very vocal person. So it's, we pride ourselves on our reviews, online reviews. Cause the funny thing about the car business now is we don't get a chance to meet half the people that choose not to do business with us or choose, you know what I mean? So, so they could skip over you because they don't like your reviews and you don't even know that you lost a customer. Right. Yeah. So with us, we try to make it streamlined. So we try to make sure we can put a car on the rack and send them a FaceTime video and get all the information to them so they can feel comfortable. Because let's face it, I mean, these guys are buying. I mean, I'm in the car business and I don't even know. I mean, I would buy one, but I if I was buying something for myself, I'd really have to, make sure that it was right. But there's a lot of inspection companies now that you can send out and we encourage that 100%, just to make sure you know what you're getting. Because there's, you could look at two cars from, 20 feet away. They're the same car, same color, and you get up on them and they're not anywhere near. Yeah, they're not even anywhere near the same car. So imagine doing that for 1,500 miles away, Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you get any, car people? Do you buy any cars like out of state that you have shipped in, or do they just? We buy. I get a lot to come to us, but we were buying, prior to the pandemic, we were buying a lot of stuff through Mannheim and Odessa, and you buy them online. There's condition reports and there's insurance policies so that if something's not right, you can return the vehicle. But sometimes I try to stay like a 500-mile radius because if I find something I want to buy off a private owner, I can send a trailer with a driver to inspect the vehicle before I actually give the check over and, all that stuff. So. But we're getting a lot of stuff, right. We get a lot of phone calls just to come out and appraise stuff and you have an on-site appraiser to do that, or?
Yeah, I do. I actually do the appraisals.
Oh, okay.
I do a lot of appraisals for some banks and a lot of attorneys and estate work and stuff like that.
Okay. So what else do you deal with? A lot of the dealerships, deal with just automobiles, but from what I understand, you deal with a lot more than that. Correct?
I do have some bikes. The bike market prior to pandemic got a little soft, so I kind of would wholesale off anything that I got in because it wasn't aggressive, and now they're through the roof. So we can get all the money we can. I usually I get rid of them. I'll keep one or two bikes and anything with a motor really that makes sense, but pretty much sticking to cars right now. We've been so consumed with buying automobiles, and we're buying 50 to 60 cars a month off the general population from Mahoning, Trumbull, Columbiana County. So it's been crazy.
So,
like we're not going to auctions, but I'm hopping in cars and I'm driving to people's houses, and it's been pretty time consuming.
So I was going to say, with doing that, you probably are you going to less auctions now to get cars? Or is it pretty much?
I haven't been to an auction in like a year and a half.
Okay.
Like, I do. But I'll be honest with you though. I do mobile auctions, so I'm on my computer.
Yeah.
So I don't really have
online auctions, not live ones.
Yeah. Okay. When we need to, but like I said, we've been buying so many between trades and buys off the street. We've been, and it's a good mix of inventory. Typically, when I was buying cars, you kind of buy the same thing sometimes over and over again, not on purpose, but like now I'm getting stuff that I may have not ever tried before that sells pretty quick, and I'm like, man, maybe I should look at those again.
Okay.
So it's been very interesting, but fun.
Is the public going to be in a big shock after this pandemic calms down and all of a sudden they go to sell their car and they go, boy, this car's not worth as much as I owe more on it than it's worth,
I get that from a lot of people, but like, I don't know. Cause I think it's going to be a short window. Like, the price increase on these cars have really only been about a year,
Mm-hmm.
and people take a car loan out for 72 months a lot of times. So I think it's not going to all hit at one time. It's not going to be like this big housing crisis. I don't think where it all happens at one time. I really do think it's going to be, it's going to be periodic, and honestly, a lot of these people that are, buying cars or trading something in, they got really stupid money and they had a lot of equity in the first place.
Yeah.
So they're getting more for their trade. So if they have a trade, they're putting a lot more money down than they would have ever put down before. So I don't know how upside down they really are. I don't know that, so I don't think it's going to be, unless this thing drags out for years to come, but I think we should see some light by, next summer sometime.
What's the average loan on a car right now?
72 months.
72 months.
Okay.
God, when I was growing up, it was 3 years. 3 years.
Yeah, that was back in the 20s, Rick. You were growing up.
Back in the 70s and the 80s.
Those cars were $3,500 and the interest rate was 18% too.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was back in the day. Wouldn't you love to go back in time and just pick up a whole bunch of new ones like that? That were $500 new. And
hey, at this point, with the way the market is, I could have went back 12 months ago if I did it right.
Yeah, you could have gone back, about a year ago and picked them up at half the price. Go ahead, Rick.
Chris, what do you think about the electric car market?
You know what? I think I don't hate it. Like, I really do think we're going to see some things that are going to be pretty cool. I know what Dodge is talking about, going to an electric Challenger, Charger, or something like that.
I heard they were killing Charger and Challenger off. And I just read that. Then they're going to go all electric, but the Charger and Challenger were going to go away.
I'll tell you what, I know we got to, get in a whole talk about infrastructure and all that stuff. I think this is something that's going to slowly come upon us. I really don't think it's going to be like something that dominates the car market in 3 or 4 years.
No, it's going to take a while, but
yeah, I think you're 10. But I tell you what, man, some of those electric cars and those trucks and some of those things they're making now. I don't know if you've ever driven a Tesla. Those things are fast.
Rick and I.
They are really fast. I mean, I think if somebody really wanted to get creative and make an electric muscle car, I think it'd be a rocket ship.
Now, I think Chrysler should do that. I mean,
I think they
have
to. I think they have to play if they're gonna X the Challenger and the Charger. They got to come out with something that's like.
What else do they have? I mean, really, they got the Challenger and the Charger. They pretty much dominated the muscle car market with the Hellcat and the Red Eye. And if they get rid of those, what do they got left? Is my question.
I really think they could have some fun with some of this electric stuff, and I think it's going to be cool. But I think for a while it's going to be more of like not like something like there's going to be everyday electric cars, but I think some of these trucks and stuff are coming out, and I think they're going to pepper them through, and you're going to have a little bit of everything. Like I always thought, like at the end of the day, why are we pushing for the electric car when it seems like every year we come out with a smaller motor that has more horsepower?
Yeah.
I mean, look at your Ford trucks. I mean, you got the EcoBoosts, you've got the, they're going to be able to fire out like a 1.0 liter with 250 horsepower and 55 miles to the gallon. I think between that and electric, I mean, do you really need to go all electric? I don't get it, for me, but
Yeah, I guess it's the hydrocarbons, the output that they're ranting and raving about.
It probably makes sense in a large market like Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco. That probably makes a whole lot of sense. But, rural communities like we have here and that, maybe not.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like paying the gas bills either. So they like to go home, just plug it in and.
You're going to pay your electric bill.
Yeah.
Well, the maintenance on them too are pretty cool. I mean, if you look at the Teslas, it's got that you don't really, when you brake when you put your foot on the brake, you're not really braking in a Tesla. It's kind of like driving a golf cart. So I could only imagine how long a set of brakes last on that car. You know what I mean? Because you're not really putting your foot on the brake. I mean, you are, but you're not, It's not hard on brakes.
Chris, I got to throw you a loop. I always like the entertainment value of it. One of the cars that, like a classic car or a rare car that you got in, the one that sticks out in your mind, got in the dealership.
I'm a truck guy. I really like lowered trucks. So I have an 84 GMC that I got that I'm working on right now. And I would really, I haven't had one yet, but like if I had to have my dream car would be like a 72 Blazer.
Oh yeah. That was right before they changed the body style, correct?
Slammed on the ground with the roof off of it.
Yeah. That's you know what, it just popped in my mind when I was, I grew up in the 80s, so obviously, but then when the 90s kicked in, was a sport truck market when that took off. But I haven't seen, and that's what I want to see. I want to see an old sport truck like the S10s when they dropped them and did all that. I haven't seen a clean one of those in probably
Cyclones.
So
I know, right?
Yeah. You know what, Chris, how can people get a hold of you? They want to come up to your dealership, go to online. Like I said,
you can. If you got any, if you have any questions about maybe a classic car, or something that you need appraised or need to move or sell or whatnot, you can call the dealership 330-702-0000. It's all zeros, nice and easy. We're on 224 4141 Boardman Canfield Road, right in Canfield, next to Wendy's. Pretty much anything with a motor, we could put a number on, and help you in any way.
Yeah, go down, and you got a website also.
Yeah, hausautogroup.com.
And let me tell you something. My daughter bought. This was quite a few years ago. She bought a 2010 Mazda 3 up from you, and she was so happy with the way you guys treated her. And, because she went on her own, she was young. She went on her own. She didn't take me with her, and she was very happy. And I do remember this about Haus Automotive. When I used to do spots for Haus Automotive back in the day, was they wanted to pride themselves on the finer used cars, and you do have them up there. So let me tell you, say it one more time, and, where you can find you up on Canfield.
Yeah, we're on 4141 Boardman Canfield Road, right on 224 in Canfield, right next to Wendy's, and 330-702-0000, hausautogroup.com. I appreciate all the kind words. If there's anything I could ever do, I mean, that's like at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I mean, I was born and raised in Canfield. I'm 42 years old. I got, a good 20 years left in the car business. And the more friends I have, the easier it'll be.
Yeah. So there you go.
So try not to make any enemies and try to make everybody happy. We also have our AAA service center in Canfield. We do full service on anything. We'll actually service classics and everything. So right there in Canfield, not a lot of people know we have a service firm, but we have a full tilt service department. We work on all makes and models.
Well, it's nice to know you work on the classics too, because it's a dying art. We all know that. It's a dying art. And Chris, feel free to stay with us if you'd like. We're going to talk to Bill. We're going to get.
I might have to get in touch with you, Chris. I'm trying to get rid of my '64 Bird.
Hey,
call me this week or next week or whatever. We'll get together for sure. I'd love to stay. I got to go though.
Okay.
I'll let Bill take the show, and then anytime you guys ever want me on again, I'd be happy to. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
That was Chris Haus. If you're listening. See ya.
See you guys.
Have a nice holiday.
See you in your next.
Have a good holiday. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you, Chris. That was Chris Haus from Haus Automotive. You were listening to the Street Scene podcast, Street Scene Power Hour with Greg Roten, Larry Ward, Rick Guerrera, and you can watch it on our YouTube channel. And you know what? We're going to focus all on Bill now.
Yay!
Hey, okay, Bill Weder.
Man, Larry hats.
Larry, you are the expert with Bill, so I'm going to let you take it away from here.
I've been warned earlier on in my career in radio not to claim to be an expert on anything.
Well, we know that you're an expert on bikes because
yes,
he's blown us away with the knowledge.
Yes,
I'm like, I can't stump you, Larry. Mm-hmm. I try to stump you. And you're like, this is that bike. I'll send you a picture. Hey, Larry, what about this one? Although this one's got this and this and this. I'm like, I quit. You know everything.
He does know it. Then Larry will say, I don't know everything. It's my buddy. What's his name that knows everything?
Yeah.
What's his name, your buddy?
Well,
between two of you.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to welcome Bill Weder, part of the Then Came Bronson fan club, to Armstrong Street Scene Power Hour. I met Bill many, many years ago when the Then Came Bronson guys, and they're literally located from Newcastle to Maryland to the West Coast to where Bill's at. What, at Colorado, Bill?
I'm in southern Illinois, near St. Louis.
Illinois. And so that's how I got to meet Bill originally. And so Bill is well, the first thing is he's a longtime member of the Then Came Bronson fan club, which was a show in the 69 and early 70s starring Michael Parks. Had a 70s Sportster, and he'd go out and visit America each week. And actually it put a lot of young guys watching that out, getting them onto motorcycles. What impressed me about Bill was that he had the same motorcycle, which I wish I could have, but I have a curse where I buy them and sell them. But Bill's had the same bike. It's a 1975 XLH, or is it an XLCH, Bill?
It's an XLH, and I added the Kickstarter.
Oh, you added the Kickstarter? That's all.
I got tired of push starting it. Oh. When the Bendix goes out.
I brought a bike here.
I had a
1975.
I had a 72 one time.
Is that it?
Yeah.
With the Kickstart. XLCH it is.
That's right. XLCH.
Mm-hmm. How about that?
Well, let's first start. Yeah, there's Bill's bike. And this particular shot was at an event that we all did. I flew out, and oh, God, it was like 7 or 8 hours from Pittsburgh out to, actually I had to go to California and then bop back for an hour to Reno. But we all met in Reno, Nevada for Street Vibrations, which is a huge week-long event about cars and bikes and stuff. And actually in that auditorium we're at now, that at one time was packed full of custom motorcycles and that. And Bill rode from where? Illinois, Bill, all the way out to Reno? Was it that distance?
Yeah. None of the guys had room in their trailers to haul mine out, and I didn't want a trailer out there, so I just rode it.
Well, yeah, you know what happened? I think it was that black XLCH Sportster of mine that I ended up hogging your space, unfortunately, and I'm really sorry about that because that made you ride that thing like, 1,480 some miles?
Wow. Oh. How long it take you?
Oh, probably a couple days.
Yikes.
Well, what I want to make sure you guys understand the difference between a 1975 XL H Sportster and say something that's 20 years newer, a 1995 Sportster, because I just sold mine. It is like night and day. Mm-hmm. Well, they're both carbureted, but they're going to be electronic ignition. You know, the thing's got belt drive. It's not going to leak. You're actually not going to vibrate a million things off of it. You know, when we got Sportsters like Bill has, the first thing you do is get a big tube of Loctite and then start taking off the nuts and Loctite them. And then, of course, you'd take some spare stuff with you, too. But those particular bikes had Delco Remy points, like in the voltage regulator. And so, you know, there's a lot of little oddities that it has points and little
sandpaper with you.
Oh, yeah. But the thing that impressed me about Bill is old school rider. I mean, he rode it all the way out there. And we're not talking about having electric gear to plug in, gigantic windshield, a bunch of stuff like that. He did it the old way where he layered on the clothes like we used to and had these gigantic I don't know what they're welders' gloves or what, but man, oh man. So Bill, what I want to do is first talk about, since we're pretty close to the same age, why don't you talk about how you got started motorcycling? Because I'm sure you went through the golden age of motorcycling like me and Roy and all of us around that age group, you know?
Yeah. Well, my dad was a farm machinery dealer, and so we had a lot of different equipment around there. And one of the things he ended up trading in was a little 3.5 horsepower mini bike. So that's what I started on.
Wow.
Wrap the rope around the starter and give it a pull. And I graduated up to Heathkit, had a mini bike with a wide tire, a 2-speed transmission, and a 5-horse engine. And I thought that was the thing. But then the movie Then Came Bronson came along, and I learned all about Sportsters. And that was the bike that could do anything. So I had to have a Harley. So I ended up buying a 125 Harley, little 125 Rapido, and hopped on that thing and rode it like I've been riding, because I've been watching the TV show on how to ride motorcycles. And then graduated up to a 450 Honda and took a lot of trips on it. And then I saved up enough when I was 21 to buy a Sportster.
And you still have it.
I still have it. And then 10 years ago, for the 40th anniversary, it needed to be rebuilt. So I rebuilt it into a Bronson bike. But, yeah. In the meantime, though, year 2001, I actually bought a Bronson replica from Boulder, Colorado, and rode it home. And that was an adventure, riding an unknown motorcycle that really wasn't in mechanically fit condition to be riding that 1,100 miles. But all the little problems you have along the way make it more exciting. So I sold that one to Don Collins out in near Amarillo, Texas, and that I took that money and rebuilt mine.
There you go.
Well, Then Came Bronson, is that a TV series or is that a movie? That was a TV series.
It was a movie at first, and then there was 26 episodes. It was so popular.
Okay.
And us kids watched it every Wednesday night at 9:00.
Well, I can tell you that the Ironheads popularity is really it never waned, and but there's a huge difference between riding an Ironhead Sportster and riding a modern day Sportster. I'm not talking about a rubber mounted one, but something all the way up to about 2003. You know, it's like totally day and night, and I cannot imagine riding an Ironhead 1,400 miles. I don't care if it takes 3 days. That's like 3 days out of your life, you know. Mm-hmm. And you're right. It's sort of like that movie, You Never Know What You Get When You Open Up a Box of Chocolates. That's what's kind of every
Forrest
day.
Gump.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Adventure. But we're going to get to the Bronson bikes in just a minute. But I would like to have you talk about your fellowship in the Then Came Bronson Club, how you guys kind of got together. And over the years, it has been remarkable that you guys have managed to visit almost every area where the different movies were shot. I know when we were in Reno, some of the guys took off because down somewhere, I don't know, 30 miles away is where they shot this scene. So everybody wanted to be there. So tell us a little bit about, getting involved, what it's meant to you, because it's been a ride for you guys. And I just remember a couple years ago, if you remember, in fact, you'll remember you were the videographer on the back of my GS, and we went out, and one of the Then Came Bronson bikes, Billy Gibson, who was on the show a couple months ago, the AMA and Mid-Ohio were kind enough to give us a waiver, and we were out there on that track by ourselves exclusively, filming almost like a little documentary, and you were on the back, and it turned out really great. So let's talk about what it means to be a part of that, how you got involved, and where you think you guys are at right now.
Well, we're not really a club. We call ourselves a loose bunch of buds who just like riding motorcycles, and we all enjoyed the same TV program. Yeah. One of the guys started a website, jimbronson.com, and he was actually stationed in Japan at the time. And he started the website, and through that website, we all found each other. And I was one of the last guys, I guess, to get involved. So they knew where to get all the Bronson parts I needed to make my bike look like the real thing. And we get together every year, like you said, for just kind of a reunion, you might say. And we keep in touch by email pretty much every day. So we know what's going on in each other's lives, and a lot of it revolves around motorcycles.
Who played Bronson? It wasn't Charles Bronson. Who played Bronson?
That was Michael Parks.
Michael Parks, okay.
He was the big brother we all looked up to and wanted to be like. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, two of the biggest events that I attended, one was down in West Virginia, and that's where you guys, and the coolest thing is you recreated a scene from the show where there was a little creek, and then there was the tent, and it rained and stuff like that. And then they had a drive-in theater. You literally could get in, and they had the drive-in theater box where you have to get a ticket, and they had a reel running continuous loop of all of the movies and that. But Bill sat on one of those bikes and was dressed just like Bronson, red helmet and all that, and he sat there motionless. And then just every once in a while, he would talk to one of them, and then one of the fans, people walking up, would just like jump out of their seats. So that in West Virginia
was probably the most fun I ever had on a motorcycle. We had 3 mannequins dressed up, sitting on these different bikes in different movie scenes and dioramas. So since there was already 3 mannequins, I dressed up just like the mannequins and sat there like they were. Only I looked more real, and they just, like you said, it was a lot of fun.
That's stuff you see on YouTube. If you always look up stuff like that, you see a mannequin sitting there in Times Square, jump out of the bench. Bill actually did that, I guess. So.
He was the starter of that stuff, huh? The creator of it.
Yeah. One of the things that impressed me about you guys that got together is when you set up somewhere, like in West Virginia or a couple years ago at Mid-Ohio, it was a professionally well done, first class, and there was so much memorabilia. They even had what they considered to be the rock that Bronson used to pound out a fender or something. It was a tool. I guess he used the rock to do it or something. But I mean, it was just fantastic. People would come in, and there would be so many guys that said, that thing really launched me onto motorcycling. I don't think Michael Parks got enough credit from the AMA at all, enough credit to get so many young guys going in the right way. And I'll tell you, there was always something positive about the Then Came Bronson series. You didn't have Hell's Angels and pagans and all that. It was something that was positive and uplifting, and there was a moral and a story. And I thought that was really cool. And I thought, boy, that's a great way to represent motorcycling. And I think the guys, Then Came Bronson guys, I better not say that word, but you guys are like, yeah, I'll lose that part. Bill,
beep, beep.
What I thought maybe you would also want to talk about is some of the highlights of the Then Came Bronson, I say club, but I don't know what you want to call it, but I got a bunch of good old boys that like one thing, and then we're going to talk about the Sportsters too.
Okay. What was your first question about the club?
Well, yeah. Tell me, there's 2 or 3 highlights. I know that Bixby Bridge, this year in 22, I've already told my wife I'm going to be gone for probably a month, 35, 40 days. And I'm getting on the bike, and it's going to be a BMW because I don't want to break.
My wife would have my crap down with me.
But I'm going all the way to the Pacific Coast Highway. I'm going to ride that. I'm going to go over to the Bixby Bridge, and I'm going to come all the way back for the 50th anniversary of what they call the BMW Colorado Rocky Rally. And then I'll wind my way back home, and I'm going to be gone 40 days, which my wife probably be happy. But, well, I know
she might be very happy.
Yeah. I get back, she might have moved. I don't know. But,
your stuff's all on the front lawn.
But you guys have done some marvelous things and been to some great places. What were a couple of highlights of your get-together, like different scenes and stuff like that?
Probably seeing the small towns that we saw, in the episodes. We all have DVDs of the episodes, so we're very familiar with them. And we ride into some of these towns, you see the street and the old buildings and everything's the same, just like you saw. And you're actually in the scene all of a sudden. And a lot of us were riding actual Bronson motorcycles like the television series. So sometimes when we're out somewhere by ourselves and we meet somebody and we introduce ourselves, we actually introduce ourselves as Jim Bronson. They don't bat an eye. They don't know the difference.
Yeah. I'm wondering, Greg, if you can put up a couple of the pictures that I sent you of the various bikes, because we're going to get into a couple of these bikes, and we're going to have to do it within 9 minutes or so to clear the.
See what bikes are that?
Remember, I sent you some pictures of Bill next to his bike.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll put a couple of those up, and Bill, you could talk about them as they come up.
Sure.
There's one.
Yeah. There I was. The old iron heads don't have hydraulic lifters, so they're mechanical lifters, and if you ride a long time and it gets warm, they can start making noise. So while I was there in the Reno ballroom, sitting on the carpet floor, Larry and I reset the tappets on it so they'd run a little quieter.
Yep.
I'd like to point out that gas tank. You'll see that there's an insignia on the tank. I'm very pleased that I have the two of them that were sent to me by you guys, but also tell us about the tank, the paint, and the signature on the tank.
Yeah, that was signed by Bernie Jarvis. He was the fellow the movie was actually made about. So there's a real guy that did everything in the movie, quit his job, rode around the country, doing odd jobs and affecting people's lives in a positive way. And that tank was signed by him, and also Buddy Stubbs down in Arizona, a famous motorcycle racer.
Okay. And then do we have another picture, Greg, we can slide up? Now that bike is now loaded just like the Bronson bike would be loaded. Tell us about that, Bill.
Yeah, when I travel, I'm pretending I'm Bronson and I feel like I'm on a motorcycle trip. So I bought some green duffel bags, a small one for the front, a large one for the back, just like he had. And surprisingly, that big duffel bag on the front handlebars blocks the wind very well.
Oh, you don't need a windscreen then.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Actually, you're because I'll tell you, before I was old enough to know better and know what happens when you fall off motorcycles and start to wear all the safety gear, I'd take my leather jacket and I'd roll it up, and I didn't have a bungee. I just had rope, and I'd roll it up into just a little like duffel-like thing, set it on the handlebars, tie it down. And boy, that was a great wind blocker. So you're right. That was. Do we have another one there, Greg? All right. Now, this is one that I wanted to really point out. If you look on the left-hand side, you'll see this is 75, so it shifts on the left, right?
Yeah, it's a standard. Uh-huh.
Right. Now, 73, I think, was the very last year that there was not standardization in the motorcycle manufacturing. So a 1973 and earlier Harley-Davidson Sportster shifted on the right like a Triumph and braked on the left. And obviously, if you got onto a couple-year newer bike, it shifts on the left and brakes on the right. You could see it could cause some problems if you didn't remember what was going on. But let's talk about that motorcycle. First of all, and without saying too much, but I've heard upwards of some of the guys have actually put $25,000 start to finish in bringing it back to being a replica. So let's go from the front of the bike and work our way back. I know the fender, I can see that. Talk about the things that you've changed that have made it more like the Bronson bike. It is.
Okay. Well, the front wheel is normally a 19-inch, and Bronson had a 21-inch aluminum rim made by Akron, I believe it was. And let's see. The headlight you can't see there was a custom chrome simple headlight. And on the other side, you would see a chrome oil tank instead of the black oil tank. And, of course, the small seat. There was a sissy bar, which is covered up now with everything I hung on it. But the sissy bar was actually originally from a Schwinn Stingray bicycle, cut down to being about 18 inches tall.
Talk about that, Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And then on the back, there was a small taillight kind of a British type small tail light, and then the rear fender was bobbed and cut off probably halfway up, equal to halfway up the wheel, I'd say. And of course, there was that thin seat, and so the secret to riding a Bronson bike long distance is to not put a large fuel tank on it. If you're riding with that old 2-gallon peanut tank, you got to stop every 80 miles and get off.
Yeah, I had one of those.
It always felt good to get off, but always felt good to get back on it again.
You know what? I have to comment on something. What we're looking at, you know, if you're listening to the podcast, we're looking at his motorcycle. The one thing that I don't think Bronson had was that pink wire and the thing on the seat. And could you explain what that is?
What was it again?
The pink wire and the thing on the seat. You know, I don't think Bronson had that.
Oh, you know, that's probably the cell phone charger.
Yeah, you know, we got to have our modern conveniences now too.
Hey, how true to form was the Bronson bike to the original bike? What was the original guy who had Peters? Was it? Is his name Peters? No.
Bernie Jarvis.
Who?
Bernie Jarvis.
Jarvis. How true was it the TV show to Jarvis's bike?
Yeah. Bernie Jarvis had an old, I guess maybe a panhead. It was a big old Harley, you know, right after I guess they had the hand shift. I'm not sure what model it was, but he raced motorcycles. And he raced on one of those, and I think he took something similar to that on the trip. He was gone for 1.5 years.
Wow. Was he married?
On and off. Probably not at the time.
Not after the trip.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, what is it like? Kind of give us a feel. What is it like riding that bike distance? You know, you've ridden a lot of other bikes, but those are special. You know, there's a lot of differences on how they feel, especially even when they have disc brakes. They're not like all-world disc brakes. I mean, they don't stop like a Triumph on a dime or something. So tell us, what's the behind-the-bars feel for our listeners and viewers?
Well, surprisingly, you know, I've been riding it my whole life, so I've conformed to it. I'm comfortable with it, and surprisingly, when I have it loaded up, I've got a lot of weight in those bags. There's that front bag's full of tools and food and camping equipment, and the back bag is full of clothes and a sleeping bag and tents. So there's a lot of weight on the bike, and surprisingly, it rides very well. It handles strange with that front bag kind of hanging forward. It has a tendency to oversteer at slow speed, so you have to adapt to that pretty quick. And but I feel right at home on that bike. I can run along 70 miles an hour, and just can't wait to see what's around the next corner or over the next hill.
Were those still considered Harley Davidsons, even though AMF owned them at the time?
Yes, still a Harley Davidson.
Because I know when I got mine was a 72, and I think AMF took them over in 71.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the two things to bring that bike back up, I'd like to point out, is that that motorcycle, unlike the newer bikes, has chain drive, which presents certain problems as far as stretching, adjusting, keeping it oiled. And the second thing is the highly desirable unobtainium muffler system on that bike. I mean, I don't know where you could find those, and if you did, they're probably $1,500 to $2,000 for that exhaust system.
Yeah, they're still laying around. People always take them off when they customize their motorcycle. So you can find them every now and then. Mine, surprisingly, Greg out in Pennsylvania called me up one day, said, Bill, there's a set of Bronson mufflers, we call them Bronson muffler exhaust systems, on eBay. And I went and looked at it, and the guy lived 20 miles up the road from me.
Wow.
That was meant to be.
Now, when we look at 2022, what's Bill Weder and TCB going to be doing?
Well, we don't know yet. We have pretty much visited all the filming locations, and what we started doing after that was going to each other's house, because we all know what's cool around the area to ride to. And we've been to pretty much everybody's house, but probably Peter up in New Hampshire. So we may have to converge on his house here next. There's a lot of nice riding up in that area in New England.
Absolutely perfect. Greg, how we doing on time?
Oh, we're going to have to wrap it up here in about 2 minutes. But
okay. Hey, Bill,
any last questions?
I did take my bike, my Sportster, down to Meridian, Mississippi. So I lived in Farrell, Pennsylvania at the time. When I was in the Navy, I was 21 years old. I took it down and back. And,
there you go.
That's a good ride, probably about 1,000 miles. I'm guessing. I'll have to check it out. But I did that, and then I drove it from my house when I come home, and I went to Virginia, and then I sold it. So
there you go.
That's when I was when I was a youngster. Didn't know any better, but I made it.
I still
Are you saying that Bill doesn't know any better still? Because he's still riding.
We've had Bob Wenzel on from the Vintage Movement. Right now, a young fellow came to him with 1970, and he said, when I was 9, my dad died. This is my dad's bike. And my mom, unbeknownst to me, put this motorcycle away for the last guy. He's pretty well off now. He owns a construction company, and he brought it to him, and he talked to Ted Guthrie, who's brilliant at restorations, and he said, I don't care what it costs. This is what I want it to look like, exactly like my dad bought it off the showroom floor. And it's been 6 months now, and I think they're getting ready to put the wheels on and the tank and some other minor stuff. I gave him some parts that I had, but he found out, I got a shop manual for that bike, and he found out just how difficult parts are becoming for ironhead motorcycles. You're not going to get them from the Harley dealer. Everything's going to be second source. Now you might find them from Ronnie's Harley Davidson, who buys up stuff from everybody else, but it's all going to be internet based, Bill?
Well, I tell you what, we enjoyed having Bill Weder on, telling his incredible story. And, I always like things that are carried on or you've owned for a long time. Got a soft spot for that since I've owned my cars forever. But that's a great, it's great to have Bill on. We just had Chris Haus on from Haus Automotive, talking about kind of the used car market, classic car market, new car market, everything you want to know. So we're going to wrap it up for Street Scene Power Hour. I'm Greg Roten. We got Larry Ward, Rick Guerrera, and Bill Weder down here on Street Scene Power Hour. Take it away, Rick.
We'll see you down the road.